Welcome back to the Copado Architect Corner. Today we're talking about merging changes from different developers for deployment. Today we're going to show a very common scenario. A developer is going to take a change. We're going to keep it simple and just make it a custom field. And then that'll be associated with one user story. And then we're going to create another change associated with another user story. So it's two user stories. We can deploy them either individually using the promote and deploy. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to combine them into a deployment, send them together. Now we're going to have a second developer who's going to be working on something else, but they have a dependency. They're going to be creating a formula field that's dependent on those other two fields. So we're going to show a back deploy for developer 2. Then they can create the new formula and send it forward. So this is a developer 1 sending a change through, developer 1 sending a second change through, or combining them. And then we're also going to be showing that developer 2 needs to have that back deploy so they have those fields available and then they can send their change through. So here is our sample environments created by the Playground. We're going to have a dev1, source format, dev2, an integration, UAT, hotfix, and production. All of this controlled by a governance org. And this is what you get using the Copado Playgrounds in source format. We're going to have the following 3 changes made by developer 1. Creating a balance 1 field, and then they're immediately going to kick it forward up to int. Then they're going to create a balance 2 and a balance 3. We'll put these into separate user stories, and we're going to demonstrate deploying 2 separate user stories through. Now then we're going to have the balance calc, which is going to be a formula dependent on these 3 fields. Therefore, we're going to need to back deploy these into balance calc so then balance calc can move forward. So first, we're going to do balance 1. We're going to create it, and we're going to do an immediate kick forward. So this will be the first one. So let's go to our developer 1 environment. So this is a shortcut on our playground area in order to open up our developer 1 sandbox. And so as you can see, we now have our developer 1. Then what I could do is go to setup. We'll do this all on the account object. Go to objects, accounts, and go to fields. And we're going to add a new field. We'll just make it a numeric. Balance 1. We'll make it a 15.3 and hit next. Next, and we'll let it create the page layouts, the profiles. So what we have just done is we have just created a balance 1 in dev1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our governance org. So this is going to open our governance org, and we are going to create the user story for this. So from here, we're going to be in the governance org. I go to user story. We're going to create a new user story. Here we go. Next. And we'll just call it the balance 1 user story. Now, typically you wouldn't have a user, you may or may not have a user story for such a simple change. Balance 1 task, or here's this balance 1. What we're going to do is we're going to add it to the standard project. We're going to then come down here and hit save. So the first question when you create this user story and you want to bring it in is, where are your changes being made? So we're going to then indicate that it's in dev1, and we're going to hit save. And now we're going to do and go commit the changes. So what it's going to do is this is going to connect to dev1. We're not in dev1. This is connecting to dev1. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to say any changes in the last few minutes, pick them up. And you'll see, I see these. Now what we're going to do is we're only going to pick up the changes for the balance 1. So there's the balance 1. This is CAC is something we did in a previous video. We're just going to grab the balance 1, and then we're going to do is commit. And we're going to go and commit and send. And now we have added the commit to the user story. So balance 1 is here on the dev 1. And what we want to do is we want to move balance 1 to the integration environment. I'm going to show you how quick and easy that is. So here's the user story for dev 1. We show the user story is the balance 1 field. It's in the dev 1. This is showing the progression. What we're going to do is if we went into build, we could see the commits and the metadata. So there is a single commit, and then there is the metadata for that single field. What we're going to do is we're going to go to deliver, and there is a really fast promote and deploy. So what we can do is take a single simple deployment, check this here, hit save, and now what's happening is this is going to both mark this to promote and go ahead and deploy it. So I'm just going to go back to plan. And in fact, if we went to the pipeline, we could actually see it happening. So I'm going to duplicate this tab. I'm going to come right here. I'm going to bring up my pipeline manager. And it's happening in progress right now. And we'll let the pipeline build. Now you'll notice the animation right here. It's actually doing a deployment into the integration environment. And we have a back promotion here from a previous video. We'll go ahead and take care of that in a moment. And so this one is a pending deployment. So now you can see the checkbox. And in fact, if we go back to our playground shortcut and we look for the int environment, and I'm going to open the int environment, and you'll see it's opening. So this is opening us into the integration environment. We'll go to here, setup, object manager, account, fields, and you'll see balance 1 has been deployed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a balance 2 with its own user story, a balance 3 with its own user story. I'll knock those out really quick, and then we're going to deploy those together and get them into int. So here I am. You'll see that I'm in the dev 1 environment. What we can do is go back to object manager, go to account, go to fields, and we saw the balance 1. We're going to go ahead and create a new field for numeric. Here's balance 2. And I'm going to create the new balance 3 one here. I'm going to create it at the same time, but I'm going to deploy them as separate user stories. So I've just completed creating balance 2 and balance 3. Now what I'm going to be doing is coming over to here. I'm going to create a new user story for balance 2 and a new user story for balance 3. Here's balance 2, save and new. Here's a user story, balance 3. So here's what I'm going to do is go to my user stories. There is balance 2. What I'm going to do is tell it where to find the changes. This is in dev 1. And I'm going to quickly tell it what commits. So I'm going to go commit, and we're looking for balance 2. So I'm going to go back to 245, and all we're after is the balance 2 to put on this balance 2 user story. So here it is. We're going to disregard the other changes. We're only adding balance 2 metadata change. And then what we're going to do is we're going to commit the changes. And now I'm going to go to another user story for balance 3. I'm going to tell it what credential, where to find my change, and hit save. And I'm going to commit my changes. I'm going to go back the last few minutes. Balance 3. And I'm going to go commit changes. So I have two user stories that each have, one has balance 2 and one has balance 3. Now I want to send them together as one deployment. So I'm going to go to the user story. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this ready to promote. So now 26 is ready to promote. And I'm going to go to 27. And I'm going to make it ready to promote. So I have now made both of these user stories ready to promote. Now here I am on the pipeline, and you'll notice it sees these two user stories ready to be promoted. So I can click here. I can see the two user stories, balance 2 and balance 3. And then what I can do is I am going to create a promotion out of these two user stories, sending them together. In fact, we're just going to promote and deploy. We're going to take these two, put them together, and send them forward. So here's a promote and deploy for those two. So we have a new promotion record, P003, and it has now been sent through. And we're going to go back to our pipeline. And that is now going to take these two pending user stories and send them into DevInt. You'll notice that the animation is now showing the change. And then we'll just wait a moment. Now the animation shows it's done. We can go to our shortcut. We can go to our int environment. We can open up our int environment and we can see that our fields have gotten there. So we go to Setup, Object Manager, Account, and Fields. And you'll notice that we have balance 1, balance 2, and balance 3 have all successfully made it. So you'll see that all three of these as separate user stories started in Dev 1 and have gone to DevInt or int and have made it successfully. One with a single push and the others with a combined push. The problem is we need to do a balance calc and it needs to add these three balances together. So this developer 2 is now behind. They don't have the work product of Dev 1. And so what we need to do is we need to do what's called a back promotion or a back deploy. And we need to bring these fields into Dev 2 so they can then use them to build their user story, which is the balance calc. So we're going to go into Dev 2, and that's why I really like this little playground helper. It allows me to have this control panel when I'm doing these scenarios. Then I can go here to Setup, go to Object Manager, Account, and you'll notice that there are no balance fields here. So this Dev 2 cannot start their work because they don't have those fields. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go to the Pipeline Manager. And it's really nice because the Pipeline Manager, this is a very common scenario, is you're going to see a development environment that's behind. So they are 4 user stories behind. I'm going to click here. And I'm going to see the balance 1, balance 2, and then this is one that I did in a previous video. And so what we're going to do is we're going to send all 4 of these back, promote, and deploy. So this is going to clear the pipes, clear the pipeline, go to close, back to the pipeline. And so now what we've done is we are taking these 4 back promotion, this Dev 2 is 4 stories behind, and we are sending them all together here. And we'll wait and see what happens and watch it happen. And you can see the animation, it's starting to spin. And with a quick refresh, I can see the green check mark and no one's there. I can go to my playground helper. I'll just hit Dev 2 again. This will bring me up into Dev 2, maybe a little redundant. I go to Setup, Object Manager, Account, Fields, and there's my balance 1, 2, and 3. And now I'm going to do what my user stories told me I need to do. I need to get a formula. And this formula will be balance calc. And it will be numeric. And we're going to insert a merge field of balance 1 plus balance 2 plus balance 3. So this has been dependent on those other user stories. We're going to check the syntax. We're going to hit next. Next. And save. Now I'm going to come back here to my user stories, and I'm back in my governance org. I'm going to create a new user story here, user story. Call it balance calc. Part of the project. Hit save. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it where to find my code, and this is in developer 2. There it is, developer 2. Hit save. And now I'm going to do a commit changes, and now this is going to go out and look in development 2. I'm going to give it a date that's recent. And I'm going to see these were back deployed, but what I need is the balance calc. This is the metadata that I'm changing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the balance calc. I'm going to commit the changes. And I'm going to go back to my user story. I am going to deliver it by going promote and deploy. So this is a dependent merge, and I'm going to deploy. All right, we must have jumped the gun. Let's go back to build. We will go, and now let's refresh. We must have reload. So what we have is this one has a commit for the account balance. We're going to go deliver, promote and deploy. And it's there. We were just a little too fast for the process to complete. So we're promoting and deploying. We're going to go back to our pipeline manager. And what we're going to do is we're going to refresh. And what we're going to be seeing is the dev2 pending deploy with the balance calc. So what we have right here is in just a moment, it's going to go dev2 and attempt to start deploying it. So we should see an indicator that it's going to start deploying. And there's the indicator that it's deploying. Now you'll notice it's complete, but because we did a new deployment from dev2 to devint, dev1 is now behind and needs a back deploy. So we're going to click here. We're going to take the user story for the balance calc, and we're going to back promote and deploy. So what we're doing is we're keeping our dev environments in sync. And this is done through a series of back deployments at good intervals. So now we have brought all of these together. We have brought these balances and this balance calc together, and we have brought them all into the integration environment. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these 4 user stories. We're going to then carry them forward into UAT and as a unit. So we're going to go to the user stories. We're going to take balance 1, and we're going to go deliver. And we need to reset that it's ready to promote. We're going to go to balance 2. We're going to indicate that it's ready to promote. It's passed the proper testing. And then we're going to go to user story 3. We're going to mark that it's ready to promote. And we're going to go to the balance calc. And we're going to go deliver. And we're going to mark that it's ready to promote. So all 4 of these user stories are ready to promote. So if I go back to my pipeline manager, you can now see that they will be ready to be moved forward to the next environment. So you'll see right here, we have 4 ready to be promoted. So what I can do is, and we've caught up with all of our past back deploys. I can click on the floor. I can put them all together and go promote and deploy. So I'm now refreshing. You'll see the check and UAT has it. And what we can do is we can use our shortcut, go to UAT. We can pop inside and see if this new metadata of balance 1, 2, 3, and balance calc have made it. So we go to Setup, Object Manager, Account, Fields, and there they all are. So what I'm showing you is a developer can be working in their environment, add a field, kick it to the next environment, which is to quick promote and deploy. They could, with a single user story, they could then create two different user stories, combine them together, kick that forward with a promote and deploy. Now you have another developer would need to have the back deploys to receive those, one, to keep up with the development, and two, if they have a dependency on those fields, developer 2 needs the back deploys so they can have those fields and they can send forward. But as soon as they send forward, you should be back deploying that into developer 1 to keep them up to sync. So they're working together in a similar baseline. And then now we have 4 user stories that we can then carry through, going from the int to the QA all the way through to prod. So this is some of the details of merging the work from different developers together. So thank you for joining us. Today was merge, deploy, repeat. Hope you enjoyed it, and join us again and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Copado Architect Corner. Thank you very much.